Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to National Gallery, Singapore. The program for tonight's official opening of the exhibition, Chua Mia Tee Directing the Real, will be commencing shortly, and we'd like to invite you to observe the safe management measures at all times. Attendees are to remain at their designated seat and to adhere to safe distancing. Please do not intermingle or remove your mask at all times. Please practice personal hygiene and use the hand sanitizers provided. We seek your kind cooperation. Thank you. Good evening, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our official opening of the exhibition, Chua Mia Tee Directing the Real. My name is Maria and I will be your host for the evening. Please put your hands together to warmly welcome our guest of honor, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies. Good evening, Senior Minister, Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Ms. Jane Itogi Shanmugaratnam, Mr. Chua Mia Tee, family members of Mr. Chua, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the gallery, welcome to the opening of our latest exhibition, Chua Mia Tee Directing the Real. One of the nation's leading realist artists, Chua believed that realism fosters a vital connection with viewers, enabling them to understand, appreciate, and identify with his works. His first institutional solo exhibition in nearly 30 years, this exhibition focuses on Chua's practice from the 1950s to the 1980s, a period of contention in Singapore as the young nation developed and strived for economic success. Chua's depictions of the city and its inhabitants offers a reflection of Singapore's ambition for progress and the diverse groups of people who have contributed to its story. I would now like to invite Dr. Eugene Tan, Museum Director of National Gallery, Singapore, on stage for his welcome address.
Senior Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies, Mr. Chua Mia Tee and family, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Well, before I begin, I would like to wish Mr. Chua a very happy 90th birthday. We're very pleased that he's able to celebrate this important and special day together with us during this opening. Well, born in 1931 in China, Chua Mia Tee and his family resettled in Singapore in 1937 to escape the Sino-Japanese War. Inspired at a young age to pursue art, Chua trained under the tutelage of Chen Chong-sui and Lim Hak Tai at the Nanyang Academy of Fine Arts, eventually becoming a full-time lecturer at the academy. Not long after, Chua would go on to become one of the founding members of the Equator Art Society, which sought to provide art education and further the development of realist art in Singapore. Over his decades-long career, Chua has risen to become one of the most influential painters within the nation's art history, many of his realist works having become national icons in their own right. Some that immediately come to mind include his portrait of our first president, Yusof bin Ishak, now featured on Singapore's portrait series Currency Notes. So we're all probably carrying artwork by Chua Mia Tee with us every day, along with National Language Class and Epic Poem of Malaya, both of which continue to be the cornerstone works within our national collection and the gallery's permanent exhibitions. In staging this solo exhibition on one of the nation's most significant artists, the gallery furthers its commitment to presenting the diversity of artistic practices and art histories here in Singapore. The artist's first solo exhibition since 1992 Chua Mia Tee directing the reel, spotlights a 4-decade period within Chua's illustrious career, 1950s to 1980s, a time where his career truly flourished. The show tells his story through over 500 artworks, along with a selection of filmic recordings, archival materials, and the artist's writings, revealing not only the story of his growth as an artist, but also his unique approach to realism. As referenced by the title of the exhibition, directing the reel refers to Chua Mia Tee's deeply held belief that realism was much more than mere factual depictions. To him, artists have a responsibility to bring out the truth, virtues, and beauty of life, intangible qualities that existed beyond what meets the eye. To depict the truth, Chua carefully constructs every facet of the image. To capture the essence of his subjects, he decides which features to represent in detail, which to omit, and which to apply with broad strokes. Likening his process to that of a filmmaker, Chua emphasizes in his own words that the painter assumes the role of scriptwriter, director, and actor to freely shape the subject's image. The works exhibited in the show highlight these philosophies that define Chua's practice and approach to art. It's through the methodology that he depicted the story of Singapore's early years as a fledgling nation. A witness to history, Chua's artworks deftly capture the stories of people who contributed to Singapore's burgeoning growth at a time along with scenes of its rapid urban transformation. In closing, I would like to thank everyone who has made this exhibition possible, especially Chua Mia Tee himself, whose 90th birthday we celebrate today, and his family for their generous support of this exhibition. I would also like to thank the individuals and institutions who have contributed works from their collections. And also give my thanks to the curatorial team, comprising of Clarissa Chikamko, Lim Shu Juan, and Sing Eugene, and to everyone else involved in bringing this exhibition to fruition. Lastly, I'd like to thank our strategic partner, the Cultural Matching Fund, as well as exhibition patron Lim and Tan Securities Private Limited for their generous support. Once again, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this evening, and please enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. We would now like to invite Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies, to say a few words.
Mr. Chua Mia Tee and your family members, board members of the National Gallery of Singapore, Siak Ching, Eugene, and your curatorial team at the National Gallery, and everyone who's here today. Sorry to keep you waiting while we were going around the exhibition. I didn't realize that people were already seated here. Thank you for coming together, and thank you for inviting me to be with you at this very important exhibition. And first, of course, let me wish Mr. Chua a happy 90th birthday today. 祝你生日快乐，身体健康。And I'd like to thank the National Gallery for curating this exhibition, hosting it over the whole of the next year, and also bringing people together to reflect on the work of one of Singapore's most important and accomplished artists. I don't always look forward to attending events, but I looked forward to attending this event because I think it's important and it represents a few things in Singapore art that have been part and parcel of the development of our identity. And Mr. Chua Mia Tee has contributed to the development of Singapore's identity. There are three things that that I feel are impactful in Mr. Chua's work. First, as Eugene has highlighted, it's his sheer breadth, the sheer breadth of his work, from the social realist works of the 50s and the 60s, when he was a founding member of the Equator Art Society, to the characterful portraits of individuals, ordinary individuals, as well as some of our leaders, portraits and sketches, and also his depiction of the changing urban landscape of Singapore, including the vanishing trades like the portable cinema, scenes of Chinatown, which have also changed quite significantly, but his depiction and interpretation of a changing urban landscape. So remarkable breadth, all the way from the scenes that depicted the fervor of the 50s and 60s, the changing landscapes, and individuals, the characterful portraits. Also impressive, as far as breadth was concerned, was the fact that he was both a oil and watercolor artist, as well as a sculptor, as we know. So that's the first thing that I think is very interesting and remarkable about Mr. Chua Mia Tee, the breadth of his work. Secondly, I think Chua Mia Tee's work resonates because it captured the spirit of the times. I would say it stirs the heart and it stays in the mind. And that is what not many artists do. Work that stirs the heart and stays in the mind. That's why it has lasting value. He's obviously a person with technical virtuosity, but it's not just technical virtuosity, it's also his emotional virtuosity that comes through in his work. That's how he captured the spirit and mood of the times, and that's how he was in the tradition of art and the tradition of social realism, which did not aim to simply passively reflect conditions, passively reflect what was seen, but to also move the audience, to appeal to the conscience, and to incite understanding and empathy on the part of the audience. That was the tradition of art that he belonged to and that he promoted. And it took skill because he was an artist at a time of significant tensions and pulls in our society. That was the nature of the times. And he pursued a form of social realism that was somewhat different from some of the other social realist movements internationally. It was social realism without the overly idealized or strident or combative style that was seen in some other traditions. His social realism was one that had him as artist, not as protagonist, but as teacher and guide. Teacher and guide. Appealing to the conscience, or in his words, uncovering truth, beauty, and virtue, including the virtue of ordinary working people, and encouraging empathy and understanding. That was his style of social realism, as well as several other artists like Chua Mia Tee at the time, somewhat different from the social realist traditions that developed in very different political climates. And so many of his works exemplify that. The national language class painting is emblematic, is an emblem of the times, 1959, December 1959, because it captured the spirit of the times It doesn't force the viewer to a view, but it does make you think. And it does not just passively reflect what was happening, but communicate an ethos, communicate values and ethos. Thirdly, coming back to my opening point, I think Mr. Chua Mia Tee has contributed to the building of national identity in Singapore. Why do I say national identity? Conditions in the 50s and 60s, or even the 80s, are quite different from conditions today. A generation growing up today, a generation growing up even in the 1990s, grew up in very different conditions from the past. Very different conditions. And conditions of different groups of people, even in the same generation, were quite varied. People had quite different lives, even in the same generation. And the artists who found a way to spur understanding and empathy of different groups in society and the virtues of different people was an artist who contributed to the building of national identity. And the artist who found a way of communicating to younger generations what life was like earlier on is an artist who contributes to the building of national identity. And when a new generation understands and feels that what an earlier generation went through is part of their identity, we become a stronger nation. And when we have that depth of identity, it also allows us to have different perspectives, different views. Knowing that we have a common national identity, it allows us to have different perspectives and different views that are part of our evolving identity. So I want to congratulate and appreciate Mr. Chua Mia Tee for how he has stirred the heart, how he stays in the mind, and how he has contributed to the building of Singapore's identity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senior Minister, Mr. Tharman. May we invite you to remain on stage to receive 2 tokens of appreciation. First, by Ms. Chong Siak Ching, who will be presenting a copy of the exhibition catalogue signed by Mr. Chua himself. Siak, please. This catalogue explores Chua's artistic practice through a curatorial essay, an interview with the artist, and a collection of the artist's writings, bringing revelatory insight into his artistic vision. Thank you, Siak. Next, can we invite Dr. Chua Yang to present a copy of The Art of Chua Mia Tee, a portrait of a life's work. Dr. Chua, please. Thank you, Senior Minister. May we invite you to please take your seat? And we would now like to invite Dr. Chua Yang to remain on stage to say a few words on behalf of Mr. Chua Mia Tee.
Good evening. Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies, Ms. Chong Siak Ching, CEO, National Gallery, Singapore, Dr. Eugene Tan, Museum Director, National Gallery, Singapore, family, friends, and fans. It is my great honor to represent my father, Chua Mia Tee, and my brother, Chua Hong, to say a few words. About 2 years ago, when this exhibition's project director, Mr. Seng Eugene, approached me about organizing an exhibition for father, I suggested that we do this solo exhibition here, today, to celebrate his 90th birthday. I hoped back then that I would be able to keep him well enough to enjoy a grand party to celebrate this momentous occasion. We doctors have a really grandiose complex. We think we have total control over life and health. But then again, here we are today. It's not quite the grand party that I had hoped, but it's no less momentous. This is the first time that an exhibition opening is also live streamed, and I know that many of his friends are watching online this very minute. It has been a difficult 2 years for the curatorial team to communicate, to meet, to photograph, to collect these amazing works and archived materials for the exhibition. And this is due to the added challenges of the pandemic. I really want to thank Eugene, Shujan, and Clarissa for the Herculean efforts in putting this show together. Thank you so much. I also want to thank Lindy, Wei Ming, and Sue from Silver Rue, as well as Melvin from Marshall Cavendish, who were in my team that created the art book, the one that Xiao just presented to Senior Minister. Their meticulous knowledge and archive through the work done for the book made locating a lot of the information and artworks possible and so much easier. I also want to thank all the lenders that have freed up their wall space to allow us to have such a good and complete collection. We are extremely grateful to National Gallery Singapore for honoring Father with this tribute exhibition. He's a Singaporean artist with very humble beginnings. He has been painting since 1950s. He has borne witness to our nation formation and development. He has persevered with his passion for realist art, striving to be faithful to his principles of truth, compassion, and beauty. In 1957, he painted the portrait of Li Bun Ngan, my mother. When mother passed on, he painted a portrait of the two of them and titled it Forever Etched in Memory. It was dated 23rd April 2017, the day she died. What you see here is his last painting, titled Reunited, completed just this year in April. This is dated April 2021. This is his self-portrait, approaching 90 years old, and standing next to that portrait of the 18-year-old partner in life. An entire lifetime has passed. This work too is about truth, compassion, and beauty. Thank you, Senior Minister Taman, for honoring us with your presence. Father, my brother Chua Hong, and I are grateful for all of you here today, as well as those who are watching live stream and who will make their way to see this amazing exhibition. Before I go, I will just ask all of you to join me in wishing Father a very happy birthday. So on the count of three, just let's shout out. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Chua Yang. We would now like to welcome violinist Lynette Seah for a very special performance in honor of Mr. Chua Mia Tee, whose 90th birthday we celebrate today. Lynette Seah was the founding member of the Singapore Symphony Orchestra and co-concertmaster from January 1979 till her retirement at the end of 2019. She has performed as soloist in Zurich and Lucerne, Switzerland, with the Obrero Chamber Orchestra in Sweden, in Prague, in the Republic of Czechoslovakia, and numerous concertos with the SSO. She has also led her Jade String Quartet, who performed in Shanghai and Hangzhou, China. Tonight, she will be performing with her own violin, a 1750 Gabrielli from Firenze, Italy. Lynette, please.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to wish a very happy 90th birthday to Mr. Chua Mia Tee. And I would like to dedicate my two favorite pieces to you. One is Salute d'Amour by Elgar, and also then Thai's Meditation by Massenet. These two pieces, the first one actually depicts the celebration of love. And I think all your art speaks from your heart. So it's a lot of love. And meditation is, for me, it's a very prayerful piece. So it's more for blessing for you. And Senior Minister Tharman, I'd like to say hello to, and to everyone. Hope you enjoy these two pieces.
Thank you, Lynette. Lynette will be returning to the gallery on 4th December at 5 p.m. at the Singapore Courtyard for a public performance of a selection of pieces in honor of Mr. Chua, which celebrates the life of the artist and the ebbs and flows of a storied career. May we now invite the following up on stage for a group photo: Mr. Chua Mia Tee, Mr. Chua Hong, and Dr. Chua Yang. Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam, Senior Minister and Coordinating Minister for Social Policies. Ms. Jane Itogi Shanmugaratnam, wife of Senior Minister. CEO, Ms. Chong Siak Cheng. Director of the Gallery, Dr. Eugene Tan. Project Director of the exhibition and Deputy Director, Dr. Seng Eugene. And Dr. Lee Boon Yang. Thank you, Siak, Dr. Eugene Tan, and Dr. Seng Eugene. May we invite you to take your seats. And may we now invite the rest of Mr. Chua's family to join us for the second photo: Mr. Lee Boon Ki, Ms. Yap Mimi, and Mr. Thomas Lee. Thank you, Dr. Lee Boon Yang, Mr. Lee Boon Ki, Ms. Yap Mimi, and Mr. Thomas Lee. May we invite you to take your seats. And may we now invite the following distinguished guests to join us for a third group photo: Exhibition Patron, Mr. William Tok; Exhibition Patron, Mrs. Mavis Tok; CEO, Ms. Chong Siak Ching; and Director of the Gallery, Dr. Eugene Tan. Thank you, Mr. William Tok, Mrs. Mavis Tok, and Siak. May we invite you to take your seats. And finally, may we invite the curatorial team to join us for this fourth group photo: Director of the Gallery, Dr. Eugene Tan; Project Director of this exhibition and Deputy Director, Dr. Seng Eugene; and curators Ms. Lim Shu Chuan and Ms. Clarissa Chikiamko. Thank you, everyone. Before we conclude this segment for tonight's program, we would also like to thank our strategic partner, Cultural Matching Fund, and exhibition patron Lim and Tan Securities Private Limited, for their support towards the exhibition, Chua Mia Tee directing the reel. Now we would like to request for you to remain seated while we ask our guest of honor and his wife to take their leave. Senior Minister Mr. Tharman Shanmugaratnam and Ms. Jane Itogi Shanmugaratnam, please. Thank you. Thank you everyone for your patience. Chua Mia Tee directing the reel is located at the level 4 of City Hall Gallery of the City Hall Wing. You may now proceed to begin viewing the exhibition. Please reminded, as always, to maintain a safe distance of 1 meter between groups and kindly do not intermingle between groups. The exhibition opens to the public tomorrow on the 26th of November. Please enjoy the exhibition and we wish you a pleasant evening ahead. Thank you.